Hi, Annie. Let's take a look at your next tasks. Moving companies to regional locations. Here's what you wrote. Over the past 50 years, uh, a large number of individuals moved to cities to earn more money for their families. However, this phenomenon caused large cities overpopulated. Okay, so here, this phenomenon caused large cities to become overpopulated. Therefore, recently governments have proposed to move those big companies from cities to regional areas in order to make a balance. In this essay, I would like to discuss whether this move is going to be beneficial or not. Rather than saying I would like to discuss whether this move is going to be beneficial or not, which feels a little unnatural and maybe not the best way to express this, I think it would have been better to say something like, in this essay, I will explore the positives and negatives of this trend. Okay. Now, another thing is that you said that they may do this. They may propose to do this, or they have proposed to do this. Actually, you wrote that they may do it, and I changed it. I said, because you had the word recent. So therefore, recently, governments have proposed. Okay. So it's also more accurate, in light of what they've said here, and grammatically, it makes more sense. Okay. All right, let's move on. One might say that, no comma here. So, one might say that if those famous companies were relocated in regional areas, they would bring employment vacancies and opportunities to local people. Okay, I don't want you to use this expression here, famous companies. Uh, some of them may not be famous, they're just large companies, okay? And it doesn't even say large, it just says companies. So it could be small companies, it could be medium size, famous or not famous, all right? But we don't really use that expression, a famous company. Well, kind of, but not here really. So one might say that if companies were relocated, that's all you need, to regional areas, they would bring employment vacancies and opportunities to local people. All right, that's a better way of saying that. Then perhaps fewer individuals would choose to move to major cities, which could ease a number of problems in major cities, such as extremely high housing prices, unbearable traffic, singular, and bad air quality. So I did a few things here. I made it hypothetical. So I used would choose, could do, and etc. etc. So it makes this makes it all feel much more hypothetical. Like if this happened, this would result. And then you had some problems here with your plurals and your singulars, so I fixed all that. At the same time, people who work in regional areas may have an increase in their salaries, and then they can have a better quality of life. All right, why? Why would they have an increase in their salary? That doesn't. How do you figure they would? So you have to explain that. Ideally, this proposal might be advantageous to both large cities and regional locations simultaneously. All right, so I don't feel like you explored this, you didn't support it, so I'm missing some information here. On the other hand, there is still a group of people in regional areas who prefer to live their lives in the same way as they used to. When large companies move in, the competitive atmosphere might come along as well, which means their lifestyles are not as relaxing as they were. In addition, there is also concern that those major cities might lose their competitiveness in the world if most of the big companies moved out. Okay, I still think you could have said a little bit more about this. Let's see. All right, okay, fine. It's interesting. You really focused on the regional location rather than what it meant to the company, but that's fine. So I thought you still could have said a little bit more, like the same way I thought you could have said a little bit more here. I think you should have added something. This felt a little underdeveloped, like there was, some questions essentially. Um, Let me see. There's a group of people who prefer not to. Then you said they might bring a competitive atmosphere. Okay. And then you said they might lose their competitiveness. Yeah, I really wanted you to explain that last idea a little bit more. I felt a little underdeveloped. So let's continue. In conclusion, I would say that it is a creative idea that is, I would say that it is a creative idea that it is not necessary to gather all the big companies together in big cities. Nowadays, people are no longer, okay, nowadays people no longer enjoy the suffocating lifestyles in large cities. So why not distribute those companies in different areas to improve the income and work-life balance in both cities and regional areas at the same time? Okay. Did we really talk about work-life balance here? So I don't know why you introduced that. You also mentioned income, but again, it was something that I felt you didn't really explore very much in your essay. So I'm not really crazy about these two ideas in this conclusion here. So why not distribute those companies in different areas to, how about to provide more work opportunities in regional locations while reducing the population in the big cities? That would have been more appropriate because I think you talked about those things. Okay. All right. So it's a nice attempt, but it still needs a little work. All right. Let's look at the tea leaves here. All right. This is rather long. Let's see. The flowchart illustrates a typical journey how white tea, green tea, oolong, black, and scented tea are made. All right, I wouldn't really call this a journey. I would have called it a process. Okay, so the flowchart illustrates the typical process showing how white tea, green, you could have just said white, green, oolong, black, and scented tea are made. Okay, so I don't see an overview, and that makes me nervous because without an overview, you cannot get a 6. The highest score you can get in your task achievement is a 5, and I don't see an overview here, which is where I personally prefer it, nor do I see it here. Okay, so you missed it, and that means you will not be able to get anything higher than a 5 for task achievement. Moving on. To begin with, all sorts of fresh tea leaves need to be selected carefully and cleaned properly. For white tea, those clean tea leaves just need to go through steaming and drying, and then the product, it's one product, it's white tea, is ready. For the rest, they have to go through whitening process. Now, it's not whitening, it's withering. Take a look. The word here, wait, if I can just move my mouse. It's not whitening, it's withering, so you made a mistake there. They have to go through a withering process first. Then, green tea leaves are cooked in a variety of ways, such as pan frying, steaming, or frying. After that, the last step for green tea production is to either roll them into shapes or dry them with jasmine added. Fine. Meanwhile, oolong and black tea, again, you don't have to say tea and tea, just use it like this. Oolong and black tea have similar steps. That's it. Once those leaves are withered, not whitened, the oolong tea leaves are rolled or shaken in a basket to bruise leaf edges, while black tea leaves are either rolled for gongfu black or cut for broken black. Before being cooked in different ways, such as pan frying, frying, or drying, oolong tea and black tea are put into short fermentation. I don't know where you're getting fragmentation from. Eventually, those tea leaves are ready to be served. Last but not least, scented tea is actually made by green, black, and oolong tea with additional steps of scenting with flowers and fruits and cooling afterwards. Different kind of tea leaves are made in a variety of ways. Is this supposed to be your overview? It doesn't really feel like an overview again. So I would have rewritten this a little bit. So for me, what's a good overview for this? Well, there are a handful. You could have said that of the different tea types, white requires the fewest step, whereas oolong requires the most. Okay, that would have been a decent overview for this. Let's see. Or you could have said that there are a variety of steps for different teas, but only 3 of them can make sentities or can be used for sentities. So you could have said that as well. All right, let's see. Now it says here you had a problem. I'm going to see what happened with this. Okay, so it says choose your question. So you could have chosen any one from this pack and we would have corrected it for you. So you can still go ahead and do that, all right? So, I mean, ideally we're supposed to correct these together, but I do want you to take advantage of the bonus question. So go ahead and submit that, all right? So I'll wait for that and good luck.